Hello, everyone. This is Arcalpha 12, and today we are covering, I think, Slaneesh. I think is the title or the type of topic for this song. From Col McGuinness. I don't know for sure, but this definitely looks like a Slaneesh song based on this artwork. And I think someone commented on the most recent Colm reaction that I did and said that I need to react to the Slaneesh song. So I'm guessing that's what this is, which has me excited, but it also has me terrified. And I think that's the perfect spot that I need to be in order to appreciate a Slaneesh song. Just because I don't know much about Warhammer, but I know about Slaneesh. So I don't know if that's going to be a good thing or not. I feel like it's going to matter, but I'm a little scared. Link will be in the description below if you want to watch it without my commentary, because we'll be pausing and we'll be talking about it. Also down below is a link to my Patreon where you'll find longer form reaction videos to various anime and TV shows, including Dr. Stone episode 3, which if you're watching this on the day of this reactions release, episode 3 of Dr. Stone will be on my Patreon at some point that same day. I will post a link to it in my community tabs once it's up, because it takes several hours for that to upload, because the bitrate restrictions on Patreon are not as forgiving as they are over on YouTube. So it takes a little bit longer. But yeah, once that's up, I will post that up. Solo Leveling episode 3 and Surreal Estate episode 1 will be up there at some point in the next week or two as well. So keep an eye out for those links in my community tabs. But without further ado, there's only one thing we can do, and that is to just dive headfirst into this. So let's get started.
Honey, you sure let me in. Shining lights and pretty scenes. Hear that song beneath your skin. Darling, you should let them go. Seed of gold and petty souls. I'll be here, just let me know. You look so good in indigo. Are you afraid of letting go? You come to find they'll say you're perfect as you are, but what's a little more? Just a little more.
I have said this so many times before, but these dark country vibes that we're getting for these Warhammer songs have been some of my favorite nerdcore songs in the last year. Like, as someone who grew up listening almost exclusively to country music, because that's what my mom refused. She refused to let me listen to practically anything else whenever we were in the car. It was always 99.5 The Wolf, and nothing else. I have a particular appreciation for country music as a vibe, as like a genre. Now, I don't necessarily appreciate the messages or the lyrics of most country songs. Most of them are either a little too religious or a little too conservative for my tastes, and that's a bit of a problem. But that comes from the nature of like their origin, basically, and the many of the singers that come from country music oftentimes are raised with those kind of values, and so that's just the way the genre typically works. But the sound of country music has always been something that I have really appreciated because of the fact that I was basically raised on it. Things like this, with this dark country fantasy vibe that like Colm brings to these Warhammer songs, is something that I strive to find. And the fact that I found that in a nerdcore makes me so incredibly happy because, for one, it's teaching me more about Warhammer 40K, which is a franchise that I know very little about. Most of what I know about it has been from a little bit of research, a little bit of people describing things to me, and a lot of reactions at this point. Enough to warrant their own playlist, in fact. But because of the way that Colm brings these topics to the table with that, especially with a song like this, like the God songs that he has been doing all have this like temptation mixed with the dark country fantasy vibe. And it makes them sound more alluring and more seductive. And that's, I feel like if you're trying to recruit followers, that's the way you want to go. Like both the Korn and the Nurgle songs have been like very like tempting songs. They're songs that like pull at your soul, or they attempt to try and convince you, okay, maybe this point of view is the correct one. I get the feeling that Slaneesh here, this one feels a little bit different because like Slaneesh, from what I understand, is the prince or princess, sort of like morally, or not morally, gender ambiguous, because Slaneesh is meant to be like the ultimate temptation. So if I'm understanding things correctly, they kind of present themselves however, whatever form you would find most interesting or attractive. So sort of like the ultimate in gender fluidity. The way that Slaneesh like is presented in the Warhammer lore means that this kind of song would be very fitting because, again, that dark country fantasy has that allure to it. It has that seductiveness to it. And that's kind of the entire thing about Slaneesh, from what I've come to understand, is as the prince or princess of seduction. That you're like, anything can be turned into pleasure, and that pleasure is what you're going to want to, if you're the prince or princess of seduction, your intention is to use pleasure as a motivator for their troops. Everything that they will do will give them pleasure, and so therefore they're going to do it more often. The best way to do that is to tempt them with a seductive song like this. I think that's ultimately what I'm trying to say, is that like, just like the other two God songs, there might have been a third one, I don't remember, but like I know Nurgle and Korn specifically, like those songs are filled with temptation. They're filled with like a desire to corrupt and the promise that that corruption will bring you power. This one feels like that too, but almost in a less sinister sense, because the other two are the gods of plague and death and blood. This one's is the god of pleasure. So it makes sense that it's not nearly as nefarious sounding. It sounds more almost peaceful, if that makes sense.
Just a little more. Maybe you should hear me out. Let them sow their seeds of doubt. But don't you wait for them to sprout. Hollow king in prison lines. You'd be safe if you were mine. I just wanna see you shine. Can you hear the music now? Stay with me, just settle down. You know I think that you're just perfect as you are. What's a little more? Just a little more. Just a little more.
So far, it's been very, up until this point, it feels like this song has been very like I said, very peaceful, very seductive, very like calm and passive compared to the other two God songs. But the moment that the lyrics cut out here and we got the instrumental, it felt like some of that sinisterness picked up a little bit. Like the moment that we got just past this, all of a sudden things got a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more like they put a little bit more emphasis and oomph into that instrumental. Right when that guitar stroke hit, it's like all of a sudden now you've got the banjo, the guitar, the violin, all of them have suddenly changed like their tone a little bit. It's gotten a little darker, a little bit more dangerous, which again is a perfect representation of like what Slaneesh wants. Like, yeah, you can have all the pleasure you want. You just need to make sure that you do what I say.
You know there's so much more to you. They don't know you like I do.
Who's that? Hold on, hold on. That female voice just kicked in. Who was that? I don't see. I don't see any additional credits, so I don't know who that female voice is. But that was pretty when that kicked in.
You know there's so much more to you. They don't know you like I do. They'd only try to keep you down. I know you could be so much more.
Maybe that voice was earlier in the song as well. I didn't recognize it anywhere a point in the song up until this point. And it kind of makes me, this is going to sound weird, but it kind of makes me want to hear a female version of this song with, if that female voice did pop up at the end, like I thought it did, it would be kind of interesting to hear her sing the entire song and then have Colm pop in at the end, just like she did for him. I feel like that would be really interesting because oftentimes Slaneesh is presented as a female presenting character because of the fact that most of the characters in Warhammer are men and most of them are considered straight, or at the very least, you know, straight or bisexual or pansexual. So they obviously are going to be tempted by the thing that looks most tempting to them, which would be a female form. So I think it would be very fitting, if that's the case, to have a female version of this song pop out, but then all of a sudden have Colm with his dark, deep, gravelly country voice pop up at the end to indicate the sinisterness that's behind the sweet talking female voice. I think that would be really cool to see.
Just a little more. You could be so much more. Just a little more.
That was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful. I loved every second of that. And again, like I said, I wouldn't mind having a female version that switches those roles so that that way we get, like, you know, the female tempted version with like the male backup vocals to add that extra sinister effect to it. I think that would be a really cool rendition to see. But I suppose we'll have to wait and see if that actually comes to pass. Maybe someone will do a cover and something like that will happen. But in the meantime, thank you for joining me. I am RCalpa12, and I will see you in the next video.